hopeful final.
Yeah, just amazing. Didn't think it would happen.
Thanks, guys.
Two remarkable semi-finals yesterday. Never seen anything like them. And the referee just putting that lovely trophy away. Big day for the German, Marcel Eghardt, doing his first World Championship final. Best of luck to both players. And look at that, both players in the 90s with the tournament pot success. That's very good. And the long pot success, Ronnie's jumped up to 60%. He was down at 48% at one stage. Very evenly matched. And Ronnie had that magnificent 138 against Mark Selby.
He looks fresh and composed from the last time we saw him. At the end of that Anthony McGill match, the nerves were completely frayed, the emotions were high. Looks like he's got a good night's sleep.
And there's the parents, Rob and Sonia, and that's his brother Taylor on the right. You see him in the practice room all the time with Kyren. He's been a big help to his brother. Great to have your family here. It looked like they weren't going to be here, so players will be delighted.
Thought for a second that cue ball was going to go behind the yellow, but snuck out. So first chance to Kyren Wilson.
What can he do with that cue ball, though? Slow drag, and he's overcut it simply because of the drag. He got a little bit of unwanted side on that, Steve.
That's a tough way to play your opening shot. He was playing it positively for the black. I think I'd have preferred to bang it in and take my chances just for the opening shot.
Yeah, or even... Yeah, I thought he was going to stun it in when he first got down, but that was a delicate shot he attempted there. Nothing wrong with that. He's thinking positive, but it was a risky one at the start. And these players have had a lie-in this morning, but to come down from those two semi-finals, it would have taken a while.
Nine.
Quite remarkable what Ronnie did in the last 3 frames to beat Mark Selby.
We've never seen 2 semi-finals like that. Incredible day's play. He's got 1 loose red. If he leaves himself maybe low on that red, in potting it, he can open up the pack.
done exactly as you predicted there, Steve. But
20.
it's all about the split here.
$25.
He's finished rather awkward, because if he puts the blue, it looks like it's a natural in-off. Just he'll have to power this if he's not going to go in off, and he's quickly forgot about that. Just a safety shot.
Ronnie O'Sullivan, 25.
Now, isn't it great to see? Well, it's not a packed crucible, but it's great just to have people in this wonderful venue. When you get down to the one table, no better venue in the world. Got to be careful of the red, the right side of the table here, and coming back for safety.
He couldn't get a good cue ball, and he couldn't stop the red going over the middle. Second chance for Ronnie O'Sullivan. He may not let Kyren Wilson off the hook this time.
One. Eight. Nine.
A little bit pacey that time.
16.
Gone a bit too far with the cue ball.
$17.
Made to look easy though. Finished a little straight on the black, so the pink is a better ball for position.
Very quickly
23.
into that
24.
fluent cue action of his. So smooth, very rhythmical.
Yeah, Ronnie keeps on in these interviews about his poor cue action.
31.
I think it's only he who thinks that.
32.
Player that's made well over 1,000 century breaks. You don't do that with a poor cue action.
No. It's a bit like Picasso saying he couldn't get the faces right.
And he also mentioned in his interview, not really interested in medals
39.
and trophies. Don't let that fool you. He's won 5 world titles. If he wins one here, he will equal Steve Davis and the great Ray Reardon. That'll be 6 titles.
40.
And just one away from the king of the crucible, Stephen Hendry, who has won 7. But he's got a match on his hands here with Kyren Wilson, the warrior. Graham already safe.
48. 55. 56. Yeah, I can see that.
That got a kick. That was a
Ronnie
heavy
O'Sullivan,
contact, but
56.
it doesn't really matter. Kyren will stay in his seat. So Ronnie O'Sullivan, the rocket was lifted off early in this final, and he takes the opening frame. It's 1-0.
The second frame, Kyren Wilson to break.
Yeah, I'd imagine that was a pretty hot ticket for getting in the Crucible for one of these 4 sessions. And regardless on your views on that subject, let's hope it paves the way for more normality, more live events in theatres and venues around the world. Two-cushion escape, flicking off. Nicely judged. It's become a bog-standard shot, and the players play it so well, don't they, Dennis? I mean, when back in a certain time, it was a novelty.
Yeah, the first player that I ever seen play this back in the 70s was Cliff Thorburn, introduced that two-cushion escape shot. And as you say, Steve, they're so good at it these days.
That shot actually was instrumental in changing the misinterpretation. That shot was utilised by players back at that period of time as a way of, if you missed it, you got away with it. And it was one of the big shots that the players were complaining about. As a result of that, the miss rule was, or the interpretation by the referees of the miss rule was changed.
I'm just thinking, Steve, what's happened to the fella that was pressing the button for the crowd noise? Where's he gone today? Because the crowd are really getting involved straight away in this final, and we're only in the second frame.
Not absolutely sure, but I believe it was the assistant referee who was pressing the button as well as checking the scores and marking, so you can concentrate on putting the scores up.
There he is, Brendan Moore, good old Sheffield boy. He has refereed a world final. One of the best in the business, and he's on the scoring this afternoon. And as I mentioned, Marcel Egghardt doing his first ever final. Another excellent referee.
Yeah, all the referees, all the officials, all the backstage staff at World Snooker have done such a fantastic job to get these tournaments going. Big shot if Kyren's taking this on.
You can always tell the way Kyren sets himself up that he's taking on a shot. We're a long way off. I think he was playing it in such a way, he didn't think he was leaving anything but the red near the black spots available.
Yeah, he checked, but he's left Ronnie a red. I mean, if he'd have potted it, the cue ball would have been a lot closer to the cushion, so would have been a lot harder for Ronnie. But as you can see, he can dig down on this and get out for the pink. It's not easy.
if you can see enough of the pink, he's okay. He can go up for the red up the other end of the table, as we show you, just catching the red.
The last little roll
forward.
of that red, just... Sorry, Dennis. The last little roll of that red made the shot a lot harder. Just about could catch it thick enough.
Yeah, it was a big help that the red was up the other end of the table there. Well, it was a help. If he had knocked it in.
Sullivan 7.
Well, he took that for granted. That's a bit on the casual side. It's hard to say that with Ronnie plays so quickly anyway, but it just felt like he'd already potted it in his own mind.
He's been pulling a few faces over the last couple of days, has Ronnie.
One.
I think he's finished a little awkward on the yellow. He's got wonderful cue power, has Kyren. He might need it here. You can see how low he's striking the cue ball there. And just effortless how he screwed that up the table.
3.
He had the gap to screw up past the brown. Important, as the boys said in the studio, for Kyren to get off to a decent start here.
If somehow he could pot this red, maybe free the black and stay on the pink, he'd be delighted. A lot of things could go wrong with this shot, though.
$11.
Well, he couldn't have played it any better.
Well, you could play that another 50 times and not get as good an outcome as that. That was amazing how he got on the black.
But as you said, he had every chance of staying on the pink, so he took your advice and decided to develop the black, and it worked out a treat.
$19.
Yeah, that one slice of fortune has turned this into a frame-winning chance. Not an easy one, of course.
$27.
Perfect angle to screw over behind a couple of reds that's available while he's running around the table. So he's playing for the one there into the right corner, but there's a couple of reds to the right of the pink will be available also. Well, he took another risk there.
33.
Took the risk of developing that red, and it's gone wrong. I think he might have been better maybe just leaving that.
Well, in trying to knock that red out, he had to put a little bit of topspin on. And that topspin took it behind the reds. If he'd have played the stun shot, no problem. Admittedly, the reds were in a weird position, those five together, but I'm sure he could have manufactured some positional shots.
Green.
End of break. And he hasn't punished Ronnie O'Sullivan for that loose red.
Kyren Watson, 33.
That red that's over the pockets, a problem for Ronnie. How's he going to keep that safe? Yeah, he's going to try and come off two cushions and kick it from behind. And that's about as well as he could have expected to come out of that situation, but he couldn't leave that red there. Kyren's had a couple of wins against Ronnie. Like the last meeting was in the Welsh Open semi-final, and he won on a deciding frame, 6-5. It's 4-2 to Ronnie at the moment, but he's not frightened of any player, Kyren. Oh, well, not only the fluke, but look at the flick on the blue. Oh, what a slice of good fortune that was.
Just concerned with trying to get that cue ball back down the table. Oh. There's two shots where he feels as if his arms betrayed him a bit there. Obviously felt like he didn't deliver the cue in a straight line. Just the tails of the waistcoat tucked in. It's a nasty shot into the middle pocket. I mean, if he... surely he can put the extension on his cue, and... this is hard.
Is it going to reach? Is it going to reach? Can you believe it? When you're striking down on the ball like that, you've got to just give it a little bit more pace. But how it stopped there, it's half in the pocket.
Ronnie's got the luxury with that red over the middle pocket in trying to be pretty adventurous with his positional shots now. Trying to knock reds out. You won't see him taking that red over the centre unless he has to. If that red is so far into the pocket, he may even be able to use that red along the cushion to knock it in.
9.
Do you think if he caught the side of it, with that red just up the cushion, it could cut it in?
Well, it's so close to the pocket. Any contact on that red would send it in, but
16.
it'd be fascinating to see how he goes about this, because he's only got 2 easy reds, and then the other 3 are quite difficult.
He needs to try and knock the 2 reds out on the top cushion whilst that red's over the middle. That's what he's played. What's the angle like? Doesn't look bad.
Can you just put it down, please? Please, just put it down. Thank you.
Not sure what it was. Can you just put it down? So I'm not sure what one of the spectators was holding. Meanwhile, have a look where the white's finished.
No.
24.
Just couldn't. There's a bit too wide an angle on that black, up and down. We saw this shot yesterday, didn't we?
25.
Yeah, it was the opposite side of the table, Anthony McGill and Kyren. It was just breathtaking what was happening when the red was over that opposite middle pocket.
But being forced to play that red has made the clearance a lot harder.
31. Ronnie O'Sullivan. 31.
Ronnie not quite as good as John Higgins at doubles. Never seen anybody better than John Higgins taking on those particular types of shot. No attempt at the pot there. That was a safety shot, and I think he may. And I'm not sure if he's got away with it. Can he get to the potting angle? Might have to swerve it around the brown. No, it wasn't quite the angle. And a chance now, if he can drop this in the middle pocket, get on the blue, he can bring the 2 difficult reds out. This will be a good chance. Ronnie knows it.
One.
Got the perfect angle. If he can just judge it and get hit in between the reds, he'd bring them both into play. Just didn't get the judgment correct.
6.
Oh, this is turning into a frame that could be pretty hurtful for the player that loses it.
Kyren Woods. 6.
He's He's not got the cue ball anywhere near the baulk cushion. And here's the chance that Kyren Wilson has been waiting for. He's had a few chances. Still, that green on the side cushion is problematic, should he get that far.
One.
It was absolutely dead straight and couldn't do a great deal with the cue ball, as you can see from that angle. So this is a pressure pink that he's faced with. No, wasn't easy.
Kyren Wilson. 1.
That's something we haven't heard in a couple of weeks. Come on, Ronnie.
Early times in this match, but every frame is effectively just as important as every other.
1.
I think if Kyren loses this, it would be worse for his mental state out there than it would be if Ronnie lost.
I think he was trying to leave an angle on the blue to pot it and bring the difficult green into play. Don't know if he can do it now. He couldn't.
Six. Eight.
This is where his left hand could come in very useful as we show you that positional shot, but this is tough. It wobbled a few times, but that's where being able to change hands is so useful. Still needs a good brown though. No. Where's the cue ball going to finish?
Ronnie O'Sullivan, 11.
It was just a matter of potting the brown. He would have been 19 in front.
Tense moments, Dennis, already in this second frame. Kyren Wilson would dearly love to get a nice position on the blue. It's not certain.
Four.
He'll have to settle for that. The long blue into the same pocket.
Nine.
Well, as we say, you never settle down until you win your first frame. You still got to negotiate that tricky black along the cushion.
Well, he was dead straight on the pink, which means he's further away from the black than he'd like. You'd expect him to get it, but the tensions and the pressure's there.
That's a great pressure. Ronnie O'Sullivan had a few chances in that frame, and Kyren's parents will be delighted, as will Kyren. He gets his first frame on the board, needed a couple of chances, but it's 1-all. Well, we thought he was on his way out last evening against Mark Selby, and then he produced 3 wonderful frames. You just never know with this genius what's going to happen. But it will have settled Kyren down because he missed a few longish pots by quite a way. But maybe, well, this shot will tell you how he's feeling. Still just missing them to the same side and left a couple of reds for Ronnie. Usually so good at that type of shot with his cue action. But this is a big day for the man from Kettering. Final of the World Championship, something he's dreamed about for years.
One.
That was a tough shot. Especially having to get the cue ball out into open play as well.
Yeah, it was similar to the brown that he missed up the other end of the table. But this is not a bad chance. Black and pink available. Pink available into the left corner pocket.
8. $14. $15.
May have let that cue ball run on just a fraction more than he wanted. So more to do with the cue ball. He's lined those up pretty
21.
well.
$22.
It's a confident strike. Some players would have just tried to roll that in.
$28. $29.
The last 4 or 5 shots, he's hardly let the cue ball travel more than 12 inches.
35.
Delicate little stun and screw shots there.
36.
That's not the best. Gone a bit too far. He was hoping to have an angle on the pink to pot it and move the reds. Travelled a little too far for that. Left for one of these tricky ones along the cushion and needs a little bit of pace on it to get out for the black.
42.
This not guaranteed.
43.
Didn't force it too much. It's still a tricky little cutback with the black. And now he's got another couple of reds in potable positions.
50.
So looking pretty good here in this third frame.
$51. $57. $58.
For all of the mistakes Ronnie O'Sullivan made in the last frame, how quickly he wipes the slate clean and puts that behind him, and then
65.
we're talking once again about how brilliantly fluent he is, how easy he
66.
makes break building look. It's a great asset to have. I think it's what got him over the line against Mark Selby last night.
Yes, once he gets in amongst the balls,
73.
he's been devastating, really. As I say, his long pot success rate has
74.
improved. It was down at 48% at one stage in the semi-final, but it's getting better again. Both players at 60% in the long pot success department.
$80.
No century
80 in the
break.
frame.
He won't be too disappointed
Ronnie
about that.
O'Sullivan.
Kyren took a long red on, didn't get it, and that was his last shot. Ronnie O'Sullivan, with that break of 80, takes a 2-1 advantage.
The fourth frame. Kyren Wilson to break.
Decided to have a go at that difficult pot. Don't think he's left anything easy for Kyren. There's only one possible pot into the middle pocket, but from the cushion, that's a very tough shot that he attempted there.
Yeah, it looks like he's got away with it. You always feel cheated as a player, don't you, Dennis, when that happens? If a player makes a bad shot, you expect to get a leave.
Yeah, it's a big part of the game that if you have a go at a tough pot and miss it and get a nice little cannon and leave everything safe,
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
plays such a big part in our game. Well, any sport, running the ball helps.
Be some safety shot, this. Really don't know what he's going to do here. Big shot to take on to pot. He'll make sure that there's no other opportunities for safety before he decides to risk that red. Surely he can find somewhere to lay on off the side cushion. But is the pot a better opportunity? That's what he's weighing up.
Wow, he's got away with it again. That's incredible. I mean, that once he took that on and didn't get anywhere near the pot, he was entitled to leave Kyren a chance. That's amazing.
For a split second, it looked like Kyren was going to have a red into the right corner, but the reds just came back and nudged one into position. That's pretty hurtful for Kyren. Twice he's got away with it.
Yeah, if he leaves the white somewhere near the green, he can get it safe. He doesn't want to leave Ronnie a shot at that red to the left of the yellow that he could play a good safety. But if he left the white on the balk line near the green there, just on the white line, everything would be safe. He's looking at an alternate now, but as he look at the possibility of taking this very, very difficult pot on. What a shot this would be, being hampered. Played it with an element of safety in mind, leaving the white near the pink.
It's quite an interesting safety shot, this. Ronnie's got a nightmare red along the top cushion, if he could get to it. But he's leaving the world on if he misses. Well, not necessarily the world, but a country.
Well, that's the shot that he decided to have a go at. And he has left a small country on here, Steve.
One.
Mid-session interval after this frame. Kyren should go to the interval sharing the session. He'd be more than delighted.
Free.
Wasn't the greatest contact.
4. Nine. Ten.
Wonderful shot from Kyren Wilson there. Couldn't really have caught that red any better. And can he roll through, judge the pace required, or does he have to screw back for the blue? Looks like that's the case. Oh, doesn't want to be in the middle of the table.
18.
That's okay.
When you get to the one table situation, it's a lot further to walk to get your extension. Everything's so compact when there's two tables there.
Twenty-three.
Well, I mean, that is a rare sight to see
Kyren
Kyren
Wilson,
Wilson
23.
missing with the rest. Against Judd Trump, he potted 24 out of 24, but he did start missing a few with the rest in his semi-final against Anthony McGill, which is a rare sight.
Yeah, I wonder if he was concerned with the brown there with his arm. Made him strike the ball differently. He ended up very close to the brown, where it looked like it from this angle.
Eight.
Yeah, I think the brown was just distracting him slightly there.
Nine.
The last thing he wanted to do was to leave Ronnie in amongst the black again with a few open reds.
Yeah, he left himself a bit to do from after potting the blue, really, with that red. Chance here for Ronnie O'Sullivan to punish.
16. Seventeen. $22. 23.
Just those 5 reds there. The other one's no problem. But he's got the perfect angle on the black to develop probably them all. Played for this loose one, but I'm just wondering if there's a possible plant there into the left
30.
corner in a couple of shots' time. And there is.
31.
Maybe that's why Ronnie didn't go straight into them on that occasion. If he's straight on the black, he's got to screw back and over to the other side of the plant, which he's done nicely. So he had spotted that earlier, and that was the reason
38.
he didn't cannon into them. And that's why the white's finished up where it has. The second red jumped. It's unbelievable there. And that took everything out of it. Just have a look at this. Well, the first red, that was amazing how far it left the bed of the table. Spoiled the position slightly. But a great recovery. Terrific recovery shot from Ronnie O'Sullivan there.
44. $45. $52.
That's incredible how that first red jumped in the air there.
53.
I'll be straight on the black. He's looking to see if the red will go in the right middle pocket, but if he's straight, he can screw back with reverse side. Well, he's not straight, so he still tried it. Oh, he's left it for the middle.
60. $61.
And also the thing when you're playing Ronnie O'Sullivan, you know if you make a mistake, it might be your last mistake in the frame. And that's
60.
proven the case a couple of times so far.
69. $74. 75.
Doesn't matter about the blue.
Ronnie O'Sullivan, 75.
That's a couple of frames. He's just had the one chance, and that was all he needed. And he'll be very pleased with this start to this final. He takes the mini session and goes to the interval, leading 3 frames to 1.
Thank you, the fifth frame. Ronnie O'Sullivan to break.
So Ronnie gets the first frame underway, and sometimes the mid-session interval can change things around, and Kyren obviously was at the practice table with his brother Taylor, so let's see what develops after that interval. Kyren just on 33 with his highest break so far, but that will soon alter. He's missed that type of shot to the left. He's had 2 or 3 goes at it, so he's not just delivering that cue as he normally does through in a straight line. Each attempt, the red has gone to the left of the pocket as we look at it. It's the type of shot that gives you a little boost of confidence if you knock it in. Or maybe it's that pocket. Kyren's missed 4 out of 5 reds into that pocket. Ronnie's just missed one. Well, listen, if he starts missing with the rest, I've never seen him miss so many balls with the rest as he's done in the semi-final and his first few frames of the final. Very unusual.
He's sort of very low down with his arm again, as Ken mentioned there. He sort of hit the table. No shot for Ronnie O'Sullivan. Just the containing safety. Re-rack. There we go.
Yep. Cheers. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, they had a quick look at each other and agreed we were going nowhere with the way the balls were situated there. Yeah, it's amazing with the rest. Against Judd Trumpet, I'm sure it was something like 24 out of 24 with the rest. You can see the arms right down, nearly below the cushion there. Could do with sharing this little mini session, Steve, at least you would think, just to... I know there's an awful long way to go, but he doesn't want to let Ronnie get a substantial lead.
Yeah, just to steady the ship, really.
Ronnie O'Sullivan to break.
Couldn't see a way back down the table, so just sent the red towards the bulk colours, leaving the white up here, and If Ronnie doesn't remove that red, it's going to develop into a little bit of an awkward frame. Well, that's not the best shot that Ronnie's ever played. Left it tempted for the right middle pocket. I think he's just okay. He's knocked the yellow into a potable position. But look where the yellow would be replaced. All the spots are occupied. So the red may not be available if he pots the yellow. It would have to be the red, the right side of the table, the right of the bunch of reds. And he'll have to play for. And I don't think that kiss has helped it, unless this red passes the black. In fact, he knocked the brown off the spot, but the red also goes there. So the yellow's on the brown spot.
It's a monstrous positional shot. As long as he pots the red, obviously. Right in the heart.
4.
You do feel that Kyren's got to keep scoring. One frame visits. They're the future for him. Got to match Ronnie O'Sullivan. He's missed this.
Kyren Wilson 4.
He really hasn't settled down here. Chances for Ronnie O'Sullivan to really heap the pressure on.
Some of the earpieces are quite loud. Can you turn it down, please? Cheers.
This will be an interesting choice of shots from Ronnie O'Sullivan here. I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't pot this red and cannon into the reds, the pink over the corner pocket. He might leave that, but it was an alternate. Just played for the pink.
1.
Probably because there's a red at the back of the bunch that's available.
Has that gone too far? It's got another red maybe by the pink spot. There's not that much to choose between their break building during the tournament. I think up until the final. Ronnie O'Sullivan's had 46 breaks above a 50. Kyren Wilson 33. But Kyren's played one less frame. I think century-wise, is it 11? One less match. Thank you, Dennis. Century-wise, Ronnie's had 11, Kyren 7. That's tight as well. Has he gone too far again?
He's looking at the possibility of making the difficult plant. He will be playing a safety shot at the same time.
Ronnie O'Sullivan 13.
But a good target for the safety shot now with the pink next to the brown.
Misjudged a couple of positional shots there from Ronnie O'Sullivan. The bed of the cloth hasn't been changed between it and the semi-finals. The cushions have.
And now where the yellow is an even bigger target to get the snooker in behind. But meanwhile, Ronnie's eyeing up this long pot. He's missed it to the same side that Kyren's been missing. So that top right corner pocket, both players missing pots into it. They're not easy.
One.
Well, the temptation to go into the pack here is very strong. The apex red.
Well, it looks as if everything was going to be safe there until that red headed towards the right middle pocket. He hit them pretty well.
Seven.
This is a very good chance now for
12.
Kyren Wilson.
Thirteen. $20. $21.
Mm.
28.
Just.
$29.
And he's out of position somewhat, and you really feel like Kyren Wilson's got to make the most of this opportunity. He's got to start to up his game here, even if it is the first session of 4.
$36.
This already is highest break in this final.
37. 42.
It's a bit more
43.
like it with the rest.
Yeah, he got through that one a bit better. Bit of rest movement there with the head. Wasn't great.
Just the blue and that nice, comfortable red. And maybe this will settle Kyren down. And he'll start producing the sort of snooker that he
56.
has done throughout this year's World Championship.
57. $62. 63.
'Doesn't matter about the black. The
63
mid-session interval has changed things around. And Kyren Wilson, with that fine 63 break, narrows the gap. He's just one behind at 3 frames to 2.
Thank you, it's frame 6. Kyren Wilson to break.
Yeah, both players had a pretty emotional roller coaster of a semi-final. Maybe there's a little bit of a reaction to that.
Very good point, Steve. Meanwhile, Ronnie sent a red over the corner pocket, and it's an early chance.
Of course, as Stephen is saying that perhaps he expected Ronnie O'Sullivan to win, maybe easy, but there's levels of expectation on Ronnie, and it's all about the expectation you put on yourself as well.
One. Five.
And once again, he's missed a pot into that right corner and has missed it to the left of the pocket. It was the previous shot that he played a little too hard. He had no intention of being on that red. Just went a bit too far. Wanted the one there just to the right of the pink. Ronnie carries on like this, it's going to give a lot of confidence to his opponent. He's still looking at that cue action of his, and he's got it in the back of his mind that he's not cueing well. And psychologically, he's sending the wrong messages through to his brain. Brown may be blocking that red. Yep, you can see. So Ronnie's got the problem, if he plays back down the table, of covering it. Got to be precise with this. Now there's a possibility here that Kyren could pot this red and just nudge the red away from the black. He'll come round and have a look at that. And what a shot if he could pull it off. He can go round the back of it and up towards the ball colours, or even, let's see what he attempts. Well, he didn't get close to the pot, but he might have got away with this. Left nothing easy. He can get on the black if he pots this in the middle. That's a terrific shot. Made that look very easy. It wasn't.
Nine.
Plant might come 16. To the rescue. He played for the red two from the pink there. I think he might be able to squeeze this in. No, he hadn't worked it out there. He squeezed it away from the pocket. Ronnie, he should have given that a little bit more thought. Had to hit it on the other side, to the side that he hit it. You could clearly see it was going to the left of the pocket, so he had to squeeze it the other way. Well, as you said, Steve, I think both semi-finals have taken quite a bit out of these two players here, and that haven't quite settled down just yet.
Yeah, it just feels like a little bit of an anticlimax at the moment. It's sort of the times when you've got to be pretty strong with your character and dig even deeper. Fight through the bad periods.
Fallen in this Kyren Woodson 4. Yeah. that back, please, for me, Paul.
The poor standard, as you would expect, seeming to affect Ronnie O'Sullivan more than Kyren. Kyren would be delighted with 4-all here, I think.
Is it this way? Yeah. Yep.
I'm just wondering if that line's available to him to get to the 2 reds. Useful little flick, almost snookered him on all the reds, but I think you can see this one to the right, yeah. No way back down the table, so just a containing safety. That was the best Ronnie could do because he was frightened of sending the red into the green there. Let's see if Kyren can play a more telling safety without pushing a red over the left corner. This is excellent. Look at his safety success rate at 86%.
One.
One good positional shot here, and he'd have a great chance. think he might just be okay.
4. Five.
He's got them where he wants them now. He seems reluctant to pot the red in the right corner and cannon the red to the left of the black. He'd prefer to do it without having to play a cannon, but he may have to here. No, didn't want to risk that for some reason. I mean, the red's available, so he was taking that element, a risk, out of play there.
May need 2 of these 6 reds on the top cushion to win the frame.
90. $24. 25. 32. 33. 40. 41.
Got to hit this shot correctly. So easy to get a double kiss and finish on nothing here. Hasn't worked out.
40.
Just awkward the way they were sitting.
Bit unlucky that. Just got a nudge from that red just at the end. He'd have been on the red into the left corner had it not been for that. Is it end of break? It's a risky red. Just that nudge there, just pushed it across the table a bit more. He only needs one more red, doesn't he? The temptation is to go for it, but how often does your opponent make a counter-attack these days?
Yeah, he's got an easy safety shot off the loose red, but he wants to just flick this one into a more awkward position. Because at the moment, they're all available, but this one little shot will tie a couple of them up. That's why he's not playing down off the red there in between the pink and black. pretty good cue ball.
Sullivan.
And he
48.
sent one other red into an awkward spot.
Thanks.
Is he thinking about taking this very difficult pot on? A little shake of the head tells you he doesn't like that idea. He also doesn't want to knock the red onto the black and knock it safe while trying to get back down the table. And in the end,
Foul.
tried to play a very thin snick and
Ronnie
missed
Sullivan.
it completely.
One.
Because of those 4 penalty points, Ronnie just needed the red to put himself 60 in front with just 59 remaining.
Ronnie Sullivan, 1.
One snooker needed. And Ronnie should have had Kyren in behind the green there.
Frame conceded. Frame Ronnie
Yeah, in
Sullivan.
fact, he concedes after pushing the red over the pocket. So it was the earlier break of 48 that paved the way for Ronnie O'Sullivan to win the frame, and he's back 2 frames in front at 4 frames to 2.
Thank you to 7th frame. Ronnie Sullivan to break.
Couldn't agree more. He needs at least one of these 2 remaining frames. Does Kyren? It'll be interesting to see what shot Kyren plays here. He's going to leave that red up the other end, so it could develop into a bit of an awkward frame. There's another one heading up there. Every time this happens early on, it always reminds me of one of the matches. I can't remember who was playing, but there was 13 reds up the other end of the table. Might pot. Kyren thinks this red pots. Yeah, you can just see enough of it.
One.
He wasn't expecting that to be left. So it looked like it was going to be an awkward frame, and all of a sudden, that little shot that Ronnie played and left the red for Kyren, it's all change.
Nine.
Well, if he's going to go into the pack, it's got to be off the top cushion now. It's a lot harder to predict the outcome. It's not so easy to hit the red you want. You need a red by the pink. It's not ideally placed on it.
16.
The next positional shot is going to be difficult from here. It wasn't a great ending to this break unless he really forces the issue with a long pink with awkward bridging. This is a tough shot. I mean, maybe could play it dead weight. Bit of insurance if the pink stayed over the pocket. Don't know.
Just seemed to drift a little bit to the left there. It set off and looked as if it was going in the pocket. Let's have another look at this. See, it looked good there, and then just at the last moment, maybe drifted slightly.
Well, to some degree, the nap of the cloth would take it in that direction, even though these cloths are very thin.
One.
But we are used to the balls tracking dead straight, even against the nap, aren't we, these days?
Four.
I thought you were going to break into 10 minutes of telling us about the nap of the cloth there, Steve, but you've held back.
Ten. $11.
Well, these would be worrying times for Kyren Wilson if a sub-par Ronnie O'Sullivan gets a 6-2 lead.
$18.
He's somehow got to fire himself up. Should have Ronnie O'Sullivan clinched this situation. Needs to get some fire in the belly for the last frame. Okay, it's not certain that Ronnie's going to do it, but you wouldn't put it past him.
Yeah, it's so tough for Kyren because maybe, you know, you can sometimes try too hard.
27.
Yeah, somehow you've got to try and get that extra shot of adrenaline to
34.
G yourself up. He's very flat at the moment.
35.
Ronnie could open these reds up nicely now. Just get in the gap.
$42. $43.
It was amazing. Mark Selby and Ronnie played 3.5 sessions without either player making a century break. Oh, and that was a kick.
49.
But it hasn't affected things too much.
$56.
Yeah, if you play low on the black and you get a kick, you're still on the black. If you play high on the black and you get the kick, you're in the middle of the table.
So just this
64.
easy red needed, and it's another frame for Ronnie O'Sullivan.
65.
Most of the audience would have watched those two semi-finals yesterday
70.
and witnessed something very, very special at the Crucible.
71.
Still can get the double with the possibility of the first
78.
century of the final.
79.
Going to take some shot to get to the yellow, though. He's just off straight and near the cushion. He'll have to power this in. He's made a pretty good effort to get behind the table.
86. $88.
It's amazing, isn't it? The attraction of a century break. The frame is irrelevant, really, but it's always great to see one at the Crucible.
As Steve mentioned earlier, he's made 11 centuries so far in this year's championship. And there's another one, his 12th century. Smiles all around the Crucible. And look at this for a positional shot.
106.
Screwing the ball back the full length of the table. doesn't go in, but it's a wonderful century break from Ronnie O'Sullivan. Slightly worrying times for Kyren Wilson. The 5-time champion now leads 5 frames to 2.